I'm Beth Smith. I'm the co-founder of Fashion Mingle. Thanks for joining us today. We have a very special guest, Angel. We can't wait to learn about your journey and how you pivoted from your many other businesses into something really spectacular that you're doing now. It's going to be a great story. And don't forget to ask any questions in the Zoom chat. We're trying to get on Facebook as well, so we'll be checking that periodically. We hope to get as many as we can. And thanks for joining us. And Dale, do you want to tell us a little about yourself?
Sure. I'm Dale Noelle. I am the founder and CEO of True Model Management. We're based in New York City, and we represent all types of models and talent in the industry. And we're doing some online or at-home content building. So if anyone out there needs professional images, we have models, stylists, photographers, people on call that can take pictures of your content at home and send it back to you in professional editing mode. So just let us know.
That's great. That sounds wonderful. Lori, we have our lovely Lori, who's constantly evolving her different places to join us. How are you doing, Lori?
I am really good. Thank you so much. I hope everybody's having a great day.
Yes, absolutely. And we have Shirin. Hello, Shirin, looking fabulous as always.
Thanks, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm Shirin Movahed. I'm a business and fashion attorney, and currently I am helping those that are affected by the coronavirus and navigating through contract negotiations, helping them, figure out funding sources, and continuing to help grow and thrive their businesses through this.
That sounds great. And we have Kat Schuller. Hello, Kat.
Hi, happy Friday, everyone. Yeah, my business has evolved and it continues to evolve. I'm a curator. I was one of the first plus size models in the 80s, so I've always been about diversity and inclusivity and about diversity, and now I'm just kind of putting sustainability into the mix, and I have an event with National Geographic during Fashion Week, but we don't know where that's going to go, so that's another pivot point. But it's called Regen Runway, and I teach at FIT and I teach at LIM, and my business is at a point right now where I'm just adding a lot of things in, and don't throw the baby out with the bath. Add to the bath water. Make the baby swim.
There you go. And then finally, we have our guest speaker, Angel. I love the color choice. Top. Great minds think alike.
You got the memo.
There you go. So you want to just tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure. Hi, everybody. And thank you so much for having me today. A little bit about my background. I have a lot of careers simultaneously, and I do it because I love what I do. And I believe that if we have one mission in a through line, you can essentially use all sorts of platforms to achieve the same goal. So I'm an active actress, TV host, model, jewelry designer. So I hand make all my jewelry pieces, and wearing some right now. I'm actually finished that at 3 a.m. this morning.
Well, that's amazing, Angel. We're just so thrilled that you took some time out of your busy schedule to be with us, because I know you have a million things going on. And I also want to thank Dale for introducing you to us. Dale, can you tell us a little bit about how you met Angel and why you thought she'd be good for our mastermind group?
Of course. Angel and I met after another model had referred her to my company, True Model Management. And I believe we met around 5 years ago. And the first time we met in person was for a model training session. And I was immediately drawn to her magnetic personality. She had so many unique interests that she was telling me about. And one of our many shared passions was our passion for connecting people. So I was inspired by her and her work. I have multiple careers as well, and learning that she was a model, a TV host, designer, a philanthropist, and she was well educated, a very thoughtful and creative thinker. Always the the innovator and, you know, seeing the glass half full. She's an entrepreneur and a citizen, you know, she strives for excellence. So I really admire that in her. And she shares some of my core values and truths as well, as far as building strong communities and helping those less fortunate. So overall, I feel like she helps make the world a better place. And I thought today people would be interested in watching her because she's dynamic and inspiring. She's a role model, and maybe she can help teach us how to, you know, how she launched Keep Breathing on a grand scale so quickly, and how everyday citizens can start their own charities or businesses, or even just volunteer, which is so important. A lot of people need help out there now, so I can't wait to hear from her and the rest of you today. Thanks for putting this together, Melissa and Beth.
Yeah, absolutely. And Angel, that it's so nice that you know, you took you know, Dale's offer to come on. And can you tell us a little bit about your activities with Dale and how that relationship involved?
Well, Dell, can you be my agent? Because you're a great promoter. Oh, wait, you are. So Dell, I had met Dell after working quite a few years and around the world. I think in 7 countries I had representation. So I was doing the model tour around the world. And I've been very, very, very lucky to have come across some of the best people in the industry. And I know that's not the case for a lot of people. So even in New York, even though I had an amazing agency, I wasn't working, and I didn't enjoy the hierarchy of everything. And I felt like I was just a cog in the machine. So when I met Dell, it was because I was shooting on a location with one of the models who, you know, we always chat. And they're like, yeah, you know, I'm with, you know, we all share the same frustrations as models. And they had recommended True Model Management. So I looked them up and I was like, oh, wow, this is, they're tapping into something I didn't even know about, like the different world, because at the time I was just doing runway and print. And I met Dell, and immediately she was so vibrant and she was so full of life, which, there's, unfortunately, sometimes when you go into agencies, there's a very unfortunate but condescension of a lot of levels and power struggles. And I did not feel that at all at the agency. I loved all the agents. I loved their energy. They actually seemed to genuinely want to know what I was about and work with me in terms of work with all my different skill sets, dynamics, not just, oh, you're just this model, stand there. So Dell and I, we chatted very briefly upon our first meeting, but I just remember I was like, oh, this woman, I want to talk more with her. And I didn't even know at the time that she was the head of the agency. I just like, well, I was like, this woman. I was like, oh, she's great. And then she had to leave. And it was when she left, that's when I was like, oh, that's the president. Oh, that's fantastic. And it was one of those things that she was always in the back of my head, but I didn't have opportunities to really get to know her until really like years later. We always see each other at agency. We're always very busy, but I just always had this place. She was always a place in my heart where I was like, oh, I want to talk more with her. If we're not so busy, that would be great to talk more with her. And we really connected recently at a huge fashion event where it was like, oh my goodness, this is the first time we get to chat on a personal level. And our interests and what we represent, what we're passionate about, we're just nonstop. We were just talking. I think we talked for like 5-6 hours into the night when we went to eat and all that. And that's just when you have a tribe. And it's so important to surround yourself with tribe. And it's a tribe consists of everybody with different skill sets and levels, right? There are leaders, and there are the doers, there's the executors, and there's the ones that are the brains of the organization. Whatever it is, it was so refreshing to meet someone like Dell, because I realized like, oh, this is just here's a sister right here. This is someone I would go to, and I really trust going to her for advice, for ideas I had. And she's such an amazing connector. She was one of the first people I reached out to when I came out with this idea. What if I organized this coalition to print and develop this. She was one of the first. I was like, Dale, this is what I'm doing. Any ideas you have? And it is true to Dell. Blah, 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 blah. It was like a slew of texts of all the ideas she had. I was like, yep, that's exactly why I reach out to you, sister. Like, this is just amazing. And so that was really, we met on a professional level, but the kindness, the respect, the passion, the spirit of Dell really inspired me, was one of the reasons why I joined the agency. And proudly, continue to 5 years later.
Yeah, that's great. Well, that's what we really are excited to talk about today, is your journey and how you have you've done all these different things in your life, but you're really led by your passion for social impact. But I saw on your website you mentioned that you actually started out interested in medicine.
Yes.
Is that how tell us about how that journey, how you started in medicine, but then you ended up getting a career in modeling and acting. I'm going to show some pictures
Sure.
from your website while you're talking.
Sure. So since I was 5, I wanted to be a doctor. So I specifically told my mother, apparently, when she said, you mean a nurse? I was like, no, I said a doctor. So I told her I was going to be a doctor. And ever since then, I was saving literally my lunch money in elementary school to try to buy medical books. And that's how determined I was to pursue a medical path. And throughout that journey, like I said, I'm still quite young myself, but I started this journey so I had a life to do all this. I went through many phases of what to do in the medical world, including a psychologist, a neurologist, neurosurgeon, cardiosurgeon. It was just so many different interests. And in the end, what really drove me was, a deep understanding that I love humanity. I love humans. And I wanted to do everything I can to help, in my power, to serve. So what was amazing is that, I was always president of organizations and student councils and the school and the class and all that. So there was definitely a leadership position that was a through line through everything I've done. When I first graduated college, I was studying medicine, theater, and business. So my 3 degrees. And I actually I graduated college early, and I stumbled upon, I was in my hotel room in Taiwan. I came out of my hotel room because I heard some foreign voices, and this is in Taiwan. And I thought if I could help translate. So I came out of my room, because the hotel didn't really speak English, came out of the room, and I realized the hallway was lined with camera equipment. And then I just started chatting with them. And it turned out it was a film crew shooting on location in Taiwan at the time. So they were staying in the same hotel. So we just started talking, and like I said, I was 20-year-old. I was just fresh-faced. I just graduated. And they were excited about me. And they're like, hey, you're an actor? And I was like, well, yeah. I've studied acting, but I'm going to be a doctor, and that's really what I'm going to probably finish pursuing. And they were like, no, but you know how to be on camera, right? It's like, yes. So they put me in the film. They wrote me in. And they said, if we put you in, do you want to be in it? Are you comfortable being in it? I said, great, sure. That marked my first professional film experience. They gave me this improv scene that I got to do for 10 minutes by myself, and ended up being in all the film festivals in Europe and on French television. So the lead, it was just 2 females. It was the female lead and myself. And the female lead was like an equivalent of a Chinese Oscar winner. So she was phenomenal. I learned so much that day. But one of the things it was life-changing, because for me, despite having studied acting, that wasn't something I thought was possible in my world. And there's a lot of things, regarding that in terms of like my cultural background, my upbringing, and my true passion in medicine. So I did remember thinking when I came back to the States after that vacation that everything happened for a reason. And I had spent my life actually away from the camera. It's happened many times where they turned the camera on me and put me on stage or whatever it was, but I didn't want to be on camera. I didn't want to pursue that realm. But I realized it kept happening.
Right.
So there's a reason for it. So I have to pursue this. I may not know why, and this is against everything I could possibly. I mean, at 20-year-old, your world was your world, and you're just like, well, this is the way it's supposed to be. What is this? Why do you know? I kept trying to push it away, but it happened again and again and again my whole life. So at that point, I realized, okay, I have to do this. I don't know why, but I have to do this. But very quickly, I knew why. Very quickly, it was very clear to me that the work I wanted to do, the humanitarian work, medicine was one-on-one healing, but the power of media, it has the power to shift the world.
Yeah.
It tells stories in the worldwide network and slowly, consciously shifting the dynamics, of the way you think, your reality. So I realized I was to use media as a platform to inspire and elevate others using good content. And I specify that because all you have to do is turn on TV and watch the news for content that will just want you to bang your head against the wall. It'll cause you to be depressed, angry, and lost, and whatever it is, because there's so much darkness in the world, and the news have a great way of showing it. And there's nothing against, anything against news, but I'm saying that they show it as it is. However, I'd like to focus on good content, inspiring content, because when you see someone doing a deed, you hear of a story of someone doing something good, you're inspired, you want to join in, you're empowered, you don't feel lost or small. You feel like, wait, what can I do? Well, maybe I could do something too. I wanted to be a part of that wave. So that's why I went to media.
Okay.
And then, and that kept going. Here I am today.
And you're on camera too, because I saw that you're an on-camera correspondent for NYC Vibe.
Yeah.
And so do you how does that work? We had NYC Vibe come to our New York Fashion Week party. That we have a fashion party every season, and they actually came and interviewed us, and it got on Taxi TV. It was so
yes, that's what I do. Wait, when was this? This was a few years ago?
When was it, Beth? I think it was it 2017 maybe? That we did it. Yeah. So that was a big deal for us. Yeah. So tell us how you got into hosting for NYC Vibe and the kind of content you create.
Hosting was something I never pursued. I was literally walking in a runway in LA, beginning my career. And it was a celebrity fashion show. So it was being broadcast on TV. And the producer came up to me, introduced himself to me and said, "Hi, I love your personality. If I gave you a camera crew, will you host for me?" And that literally, in the moment, was like, well, but I've never hosted before. It's like, that's fine. Just be yourself. Do whatever you want. Be yourself. We'll edit it. So I was like, sure. So I went from being in front of the runway to being back. One of the first things I did was, I was like, I remember seeing Carmen Electra, "Angel, I'm starving." So the thing was me running around backstage trying to grab food, and it was just such a good time being myself. And that, I remember I ended up hosting 23 segments for them out in LA. Came back to New York, got a phone call from MTV, and the producer called me, says, "Your name was, mentioned. We'd love to have you come in for a meeting if you'll host for us. We have a new channel called MTV Iggy." And then I went into hosting for, so NYC TV happened, I believe, right after what you just mentioned, 2017, because it's been 2-3 years now. So 2017 to 2018, literally, was when I joined Bader Media. So that's who shoots all these segments, Bader Media. And they've been so good to me. My name was mentioned once again. Like I said, these were never pursuits I made. So I had a very blessed journey with that. But they messaged me and said, can you please come in? I would love to have a meeting with you. So I went in, and it turns out and they were the producer, and I love him, Mike. He's family now. He was showing me all the video segments of what they shoot. And he's like, look, we cover fashion, we blah, blah, blah. And I laughed. I laughed so loud because on the front page of the site was a frame of me walking on the runway show. He didn't even realize that was me.
Oh my
He
God.
covered one of my biggest shows at Madison Square Garden. When I walked from Milan Breton, who is family, and I know I'm one of his muses. So Milan, I've been walking to Milan Breton. I was like, wait a minute, you were there? Like, that's me. That's me leading that ending, the finale. That's me. And, you know, of course, we're in like makeup and garb, so he didn't realize it was me. And then I was like, what else have you filmed for Milan? And he pulled up everything. And I was like, well, and that's me. See, that's when I walked out of finale. That's when I walked out with Milan. That's when I opened the show. So he had actually covered so many of my events. So, you know, this was a go. This was a go from the beginning, really. I mean, I already had the contract before I walked in, right? But it was about relationship.
Right.
And what was amazing is this. He had pursued me this way. He says, look, it's NYC TV. This is what's going in. It's going to be 4,000 cabs. At the time, this is before we were actually picked up by JetBlue in flight. So this is before then. So this is 4,000 cabs. And it's on TV. There's really no pay. It's government TV. Are you okay with that? And I said, absolutely. I will shoot for you if you let me decide what kind of content I want to shoot. So, well, what do you want to shoot? Because I was known for, you know, fashion and entertainment, interviewing celebrities, right? This is what I built a career doing. So what do you want to shoot? I said, I want to cover humanitarian stories. I was trying to go into a journalism route, but yes, in the realm of fashion, entertainment, and arts. So I want to cover humanitarian stories. I want to cover charities and galas and whatever. Sure, you want me on the red carpet. Great, I can do that. But I want to cover events that I care about. I want to cover events where people are doing good and using their platform to serve others. And he says, done. So I had Bader Media supporting me. So they, you know, and that day I shot for Met Gala. My first event was covering the Met Gala, the segment on Met Gala 2018, I believe. It was a huge, I was like, that was the first, and I remember thinking like, here we go, brace yourself. You know, the first event was for Met Gala. So
Sure.
That's how that happened. And they've been so good to me. And then we kept evolving. So our NYC vibe, when the contract ended with NYC TV, we went to PBS All Arts. So that's how I am working with them now. And it's all through Bader Media. And it's just fantastic what they do. And I love PBS. Who doesn't like PBS? So I'm just so blessed and grateful to be part of that family.
That is wonderful. And I think that's something that, you know, people in the creative fields really understand, is that you've got to take these chances. You've got to, you know, when you see an opportunity to do something new, you're really getting, you don't know where that is going to lead.
Right. Exactly. And that's what I had. It was, you know, there's moments of extreme clarity in my life, and I knew to trust it. I was always extremely driven and ambitious. I had 50 things I want to do in my head, and I would do 1,000 things really out of the 50.
Yeah.
And it didn't limit me. I mean, look at what I studied. I studied business, medicine, and theater, and I finished in 3.5 years. It didn't limit me because I was like, I can't do enough. I just want to do more. I want to learn more.
Yeah.
So for me, the through line was this: my humanitarian drive. I had a mission. I had a purpose. And if I focused on that, it wasn't so much tunnel vision, but that was the goal. That's the goal. And it was a path you walk. And I always tell people about this when I do a lot of kind of life coaching work. You have a path. You work on finding out what that purpose is in your life. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter how you get there. Because look at what I said. I said since 5, I wanted to be a doctor. But it wasn't until adulthood, young adulthood, that I realized I guess I have to do it through media. And I didn't even completely know that, but it was a spark in me. It's like, wait, I just have to do this. I don't know why, but I have to do this. Mm-hmm. So I describe it as a path from A to B, right? Your goal is B, but it doesn't mean it's a straight line. I think we're trained, especially in our first world countries, where we're trained to think, well, this is the path. This is what you do after college, after high school, you go to college and you go to grad school, blah, 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 blah. You get a job and you move up the ladder. You think there's this path you have to take, but this path isn't in a straight line. This path, what I've come to realize is it's a beautiful, wavy, weird circle. And you're not going backwards. You're just going all around. It's a 360 path and you circle around till you get there.
Right.
And that's all it is. And you won't know until it's hindsight. You won't know till you look back and go, oh my God, everything I've done really led to one thing, led to another. And it all was towards this one thing where I am right now. And that's truly where I am right now, even with all my multiple careers and how many times I've had this like enlightenment.
Yeah.
I'm still doing that right now. It's like with this nonprofit, it's like, oh my God, look at what I'm doing right now. This was all meant to happen. I've been trained my whole life to make this happen.
Well, and I've also always found that if you're creative in one area, you're usually creative in a lot of different areas. And so it's amazing to me that, you went from, doing the modeling and the on-camera hosting, and like where you are now is working on the nonprofit for the medical devices. But in the between, you also became this amazing jewelry designer. I mean,
Yes.
That's a little bit too much talent, young lady. So, I mean, like, show us a close-up of what you have on today. It's absolutely gorgeous. You said you made that last night. Like, you made it.
Finished it.
I love it.
I finished it at 4 a.m. really, because I think I went to bed at 4 something. I finished it because every piece takes 3 to 5 days to make by hand. Everything I do is completely handmade, hand sculpted. I'm trying to look at that opal. That's like one of my new obsessions. So everything I make is handmade, and that's copper around it. Okay. So, yes, that seemed like it came out of nowhere. However, those who know me know that I was also, 2 things I haven't mentioned here. And I think somehow they're also linked to each other. One, since I was 9, I've been a well-exhibited painter, oil painter. So I was one of those child artist prodigies in that world. I've been painting and sculpting my whole life.
Okay.
So I've always been a sculptor and a painter.
Mhm.
Now, that is my personal self-expression that I actually refuse to make a career out of.
Okay.
When I was a kid, apparently, I think I was 10, I had this painting exhibition and someone tried to buy it. It was this white horse that's probably sitting in my attic somewhere right now. And I wouldn't sell it.
Mhm.
And the teacher's like, well, they're offering 500. And I was like, no, I don't want to sell it. And then they're like, well, name your price. Thousands? They really want to buy this horse. And I was I was 10 years old. I was like, no, it's not for sale. So my teacher had to go to my mom. I come from a very, very humble family. We were immigrants, and very, very financially, we're quite poor. So at that point, we were doing a little better, enough for me to have to express myself in art, to be honest. And as a matter of fact, we couldn't even buy my first art kit. It was my 4th grade teacher who saw my paintings in class, who gave me a set of paint and says, give this to your mother and say, you have to continue this. You have a gift. So she, to this day, Mrs. Hamilton, I'll never forget her, God bless her. She started me on this path. Has she not given me this box of paint, that's not in my realm. I couldn't afford it. My family couldn't afford it. So I've been painting and creating art since I was a child. So that's one thing.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't compromise my art to creating it for others to sell, if you will. I just wanted to draw and paint and create, and you can enjoy it. That's fine. But this is for me. They were my stories to express. Now, for jewelry design, one of the biggest sparks of sculpting that revived my sculpting was when I was in my early 20s. My father had a brain tumor, and he ended up being a vegetable. He had a stroke. He was operated on, then he had a stroke, and he was out for a month. We thought we completely lost it. We thought we had to pull the plug. Just before he had this brain tumor, there was one night where I just had so much anxiety and tension, and my family, we had to come up with the money for his surgery, all the stuff. We were going to sell the house, sell all our possessions. And it was that night I remember I couldn't sleep, so I just got out of bed and I found clay. It just happened to be sitting there. I don't know how it got there. And I just started sculpting and creating. And it became, and it's to this day, it's still sitting on my desk, right on my workstation, because it became a symbol of my true form, my true self-expression, and what I needed to do. So I started sculpting that, and that was like maybe my third sculpture ever. But as I sculpted that, I realized how far I had come. The journey, it takes hours to sculpt, and it was a meditation. It was meditation for me. Yeah. So when I started my jewelry company 2 years ago, it was very obvious this was meditation. I needed to sit there and sculpt. Now, I've been making jewelry for a few years and using different materials, but just for myself to wear, because I was bored with all the jewelry out there. I was so bored. And so, but I'm an artist and I love gemstones. I love huge crystals. So I was like, well, how do I wear this? This is essentially how my mind works. Well, how do I make this happen? It was problem solving. Well, I can sculpt it and make it into jewelry. Voila. So that's essentially what I did. And I was wearing it on the red carpet. I would wear it to set on shoots. When I show up, the stylist will always be like, what is that you're wearing? Can we shoot that? I was like, yeah. Well, who made that? I did. Where do you sell it? I don't. And that's what, and so many times of that happening led me to go, okay, I have to do something with this. I have to do something with it. So I think everything I've done is just like an adapting, an evolving of needs of the time. So I did it.
We've got some questions from our panelists.
Okay.
Shea, do you want to talk to Angel about how she started her brand?
Yes, Angel, I love you. I love your spirit. You are a Renaissance woman.
Thank you.
And I love your jewelry. I'm all about big chunky jewelry. So I need to know where you sell
I got
it.
you, sister.
That is some awesomeness happening on your body with that jewelry. So here are my questions. By the way, I'm Dee. So
hi.
So how did you start promoting your brand, and tell us a little bit about your first customers?
Ooh, okay. How did I start promoting my brand? Yeah, that's great. I love it. Okay. I mean, technically I started promoting my brand the day I made them and wore them myself, because I'm a public figure. So I'm in the public eye, and I do walk around. I think I'm just this walking advertisement, because I'm decked out in my own jewelry, not because I'm trying to sell it, but because I love it. I want to wear my crystals and my gemstones. So people, I mean, I just remember when I first made my pieces, oh my God, everyone on the sub, like every man, woman next to me would be like, whoa, look at your jewelry. And they would just hone in. You made that, didn't you? Because they could tell there was an aesthetic to it. I'm wearing so many of it, I have to have made it, right? So they're like, did you make that? I was like, yes. And they're like, oh my God, what's your brand? Where can I buy it? Very quick. I mean, first I was like, well, go to my Instagram page. So first I started on Etsy.
Okay.
Because I loved shopping on Etsy. But Etsy, I have to be really honest, you just get lost in this oversaturation of 50 billion things that are being sold on Etsy. And it started as a artisan site, homemade, homecrafted, handcrafted, which is what I am. But honestly, it's not anymore. It's really not. So I know that my products are getting lost. So I was like, okay, well, I have to build a website. So on one night I built a website. These are all things. It's like I hire someone, but if I don't have a budget, well, you know what? I'll just do it myself. That's this kind of story of my life. I'll just do it. So then I taught myself how to build a website, and then I listed on Instagram. To me, I was fascinated with the power of Instagram. I have a love-hate relationship with social media at the time. Now I'll be honest, now I really respect it. If you use it properly, it's a phenomenal platform. But in the beginning, you know, it took me a few years to actually even want to build an Instagram. I think it was like 5-6 years ago that I actually started having an Instagram and actually committed to posting and building an audience. But I just remember it's like, well, I have a built-in platform. Like at the time, I think I had like 30,000 followers on Instagram. We'll just put it on Instagram and here we'll build it. So it's called Illumin Designs. Illumin, like to illuminate. So it's ILLUMIN. Illumin Design. So I was like, well, let's build Illumin Design, stick some pictures on there. And I am a self-taught photographer as well because of all the years of working with the most amazing photographers. And I learned how to shoot, the lighting, the editing, composition. So I ended up shooting everything, including self-editorials that have been published. It's like, well, okay, so I'm the maker. I'm the designer. I'm the actual I'm the maker. I'm a photographer. I'm the marketing. I'm the PR. I'm the CEO. I got to do all the business strategies. I was like, okay, well, so this is why I sleep, by the way, Dale, this is why I sleep like 4 hours a night. This is why morning castings don't work.
Don't we all?
But it's like, yeah, usually by 6 a.m. I watch the sun go up. I'm like, all right, you got to get some sleep. By 9 a.m., by 10 a.m., like, okay, here we go, castings, meetings. So that's the story of my life the last 2 years. Now, it's not to say that I didn't want to delegate tasks to other teams. It was just this immediacy that I could do this. I'll just do it. Instead of me reaching out, there's time lost. It was all about efficiency. So I started doing that, and I built this brand essentially on Etsy first, then on Instagram. Then I developed the Shopify platform, which is fantastic because then you can link it to your website and everything gets sold through all that. And a lot of my pieces are commission based, which is just one of my favorite things to do. I have I think a whole collection of about 200 pieces because I do worldwide shows. I travel well. I have a lot of art shows that I'm invited to sell at. So that's always been fun because I want to engage with my audience, my customers, and their fascination. It's a whole experience. They tell me like your show, your marketplace is an immersive experience because I build out like an elven forest. I have driftwood, I have moss, crystals everywhere, lights everywhere. You essentially, it's like you're walking to this fairy elven forest and then discovering the crystals embedded in everything. Yeah. And so I'm here to provide an experience. You know, for me, it's not about even selling. And I'm lucky to say that because I have other careers. It's all self-funded, right? So the careers in my media are funding my passion in jewelry making. But luckily, you know, I've been doing well. And just like, I have so many I have customers that have over 10 pieces of mine. And these are all one of a kind. They're all completely one of a kind. So each piece takes a minimum of 3 days, sometimes 7 days to make. Minimum. Wow. And I'm not talking about, oh, just do it and let it sit there and voila, in 3-4 days it'll be done. No, I'm actively working on it for 3. Like, yeah. So it's like when I'm doing commission pieces, I'm prepping myself like, yep, you're not going to be sleeping for the next few days, you know, because I have to actively be engaged. So that's where. So yes, please check out my Instagram, check out my website, and we'll take care of you.
It's gorgeous.
Lori, does that answer your question?
Yeah, Lori works with a lot of brands. She does fashion shows at New York Fashion Week, and so she works with a lot of models. I think she's got a question.
This would have been my first season.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
So yeah, as Melissa mentioned, my agency does like one arm of what we do is event production. We also do like influencer outreach and general PR. But I work with a ton of fashion brands, and one of the things that smaller and emerging designers are always wondering is where they can initially sell their product. You know, of course, everybody's dream is to get picked up by Barney's and Macy's, although in this climate, I don't know why. But how have you chosen your channels of selling? Like, where have you sold, and like, how did you make those decisions on where you were going to sell your products?
That's such a great question. Such a great question, because I wish I had learned that in the beginning. Like I said, I was very lucky to, my pieces speak for itself. I didn't really have to market it. There's just such bold pieces that people you either love it or it's not your taste. You won't hate it, but it's either you love it or it's like, oh wow, that's a little too big for me, but I love your work. And you know, I'm in the love camp. Yes, yay. And so it's, you know, men, women are alike. They're just like, oh my gosh, I love that, but I can't pull that off. Do you make smaller ones? And yes, I do. I just personally love massive ones. So, you know, I'm wearing the huge ones, but yet I can show you the smaller ones. Now, the great question about, like, what's so great about this is I spent so much of my time turning away offers to sell my jewelry. I think it's very, very, very important for a brand when you're really any branding at any stage of your company, but because I'm such a young company, you have to choose who you're in the room with, if you will, right? It's the same with a human. Choose your company. That means if a store is selling pieces that are, you know, price range $10 to $100, okay, that's great, but that's that kind of customer. They're not going to buy a piece that's $500 to $1,000, which is really my price range, right? And like that's the average ship. We have higher, we have lower, but that's like most of it falls between $500 to $1,000. So then you're sitting there going, well, that doesn't make any sense to put my product in that store, no matter how good that store is. And also doesn't make sense because I have one-of-a-kind pieces. It takes so much time for me to make them. If I put it in one store, I really have to evaluate if it makes sense to do that, because that piece that took me 5 days to make could be going to that store or that customer, but because I put it in that store, now it's not available. Now, stores work on commission basis as well, or usually it's like,
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So stores usually they'll say we'll take it, but we'll sell, and you know, they get a 50% commission. Here's the thing: I'm not mass producing my product, so for me to give them 50% of my sales it makes no sense for me personally, because I literally worked. I'm charging essentially $100 a day for my labor, if you will. That's essentially what I'm charging. And so to me, it's like, wow, that makes no sense, because I had spent X amount of numbers and days working on this, and I'm only getting that much out of it. And that's if it sells, right? Because then they go on sale and there's all this other stuff. So I was very careful about selecting what kind of shop are you, how long you've been established, where are you, your location, what other brands do you carry? Are there conflicts? Are there something that it's great to have a similar aesthetic, but then there's also competition, because you don't want to put your pieces in the same, that looks like another brand's pieces. So there's so many elements that I had to check off. And in the beginning, it was great. Everyone was reaching out. They want to sell my product on their website, on all this. People wanted to build websites to sell just my product. And all of it was like, oh, this is so great that everyone wants to be a part of this and sell it because they clearly think it's sellable. But that's not what my goal was. I wasn't here to make a fast buck. I wasn't here to say, yeah, no, great, take all this, go ahead, sell it, and give it how much you want. That was not the case. There was no negotiation. You can't be like, I don't know, 500, about 300. Because that's happened, by the way. People tend to, there's two types of people. One that really respect the artist and respect the work we put in and our talent. Mm-hmm. There's the other that thinks, I don't know why that's that expensive. It's just a rock. It's a crystal, right? Where I could buy this for that much. It's like, you don't see the difference between these two pieces, right? Because then you have the mass produced, and most jewelry are actually mass produced. So, and because, you know, as an artist, you can look at it and be like, oh yeah, that's definitely mass produced. But you also can look at the amount of work and time it went into making certain pieces. Mm-hmm. And the reason why most jewelry can be mass produced is made from a mold. You make one piece, you create a mold out of it, and you just keep pouring the metal in. And then that's it. And then that's why you can make 1 million of the same design. So even if one mold took $2,000 to make, you just made $1 million. I mean, you can sell it for nothing and you got your money back and then some. But when it's an artisan piece, right? When you're looking at the artist putting all that time and effort into making that one piece, that's what you're paying for. And so there are customers that absolutely respect that. There are customers that have told me, especially, and I love this, they're like, you should be charging more for that. You know, pricing was interesting. How to price your product was a very interesting journey for me. I kept switching, I kept changing it. Like, yeah, but will people pay for this? It's been sitting there for 2-3 weeks. People aren't buying it. Maybe I should lower it. I really beg to differ when it comes to that. When it comes to an artisan, one of a kind, your art is your art. Your work is your art. You have to really honor and respect your own work to say, this is what it's worth. It's the same thing with paintings, right? Artwork. It's like someone said, well, you took 5 minutes to do that. Well, that's not what you're paying for. You're not paying for the artist who did this for 5 minutes. You're paying for the 30 years this artist spent honing in on their craft and their talent to do this in 5 minutes and make it worth something, right? That's what you're paying for. So they're very, very different types of people. And of course, there's definitely, I love my customers who say, I love this so much. It's not in my budget right now, but what can I'll be back. We do a layaway plan. It's like, that's great. This is all one of a kind. If you really want this, we'll set this aside for you. And that's, and I wish more people did that because they're all one of a kind. And I'm not here to sell. I'm here to honor our mutual appreciation of this beautiful crystal and now jewelry that I made. And I love it so much. I have no problem not selling it, to be honest. But I love it so much. So it's like this mutual understanding of like, you love this? Great. I'll set this aside for you. Of time. I have customers that took a year to pay off. It's fine. It's great.
That's really nice.
A layaway plan.
So
I think for me, it was definitely a discovery. Sorry?
Oh, no, sorry. I think we have a delay.
Sorry, you got cut off.
Sorry, I have a follow-up question to that actually. So do you use any of, I actually think this is going to become more important after we get out of the crisis. Are you using any of the like sort of pay-as-you-go plan or payment plan applications or services that are out there? I think there's, oh gosh, I can't remember the names of them. Maybe is one called Afterpay. I forget specifically the names of them.
No, I'm not personally using that.
Okay.
I have I've seen that on e-commerce sites that I've shopped at. I'm not personally using that. What I love doing is like digital platforms like Venmo, Zelle, Shopify. There's a digital documentation of what was paid. So everybody feels good, right? And then I just keep a record of how much they've paid over time. And my customers are never just this one time like, okay, bye, goodbye. I love the conversations I have with them. So they do trust me. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact I'm also a public figure. I'm not just some Joe Schmo. I'm not a lack of a face. Customers want to connect with the artist. And they see me on my Instagram at 4 a.m. making the jewelry. They know I'm actually making it. And I think that engagement is so important for designers and companies. But I do understand for when it's a large scale company, that might not be possible. But when it is a maker inspired company, a centric company, I think the audience wants to be engaged in that.
Got it. Okay. It is Afterpay, by the way, everyone. And there's also another one called Affirm.
I've heard of them.
Now,
I've heard of them.
So you use Shopify for your website. I mean, your website's absolutely gorgeous. Everybody should definitely check it out. And it does.
I made it.
Yeah. And, I mean, the photography. I actually am a web designer from my original career. And so I know the value of having amazing photography.
Thank you.
And so that really makes so much difference. One thing I see with some designers, they can have incredible work, but if they do not invest in a professional model, professional photography, it's going to take down the entire brand,
So
and you're
true.
never going to be able to get it off the ground. I know Dale works with models. Can you? I know Dale's got some questions about, how, like, if you can give some advice to designers about how they should work with models and photographers. Dale,
Sure.
are you on board there? Okay.
Sure. I love everything you said about getting started, and I feel that many models feel that they don't have enough experience or the confidence to do it. So do you have some advice about building confidence and like the first steps to just get started, or any resources that you would recommend?
Yeah, I'll first answer kind of the question that was asked before. I was like I said, I'm very lucky because I'm in this world of fashion world. I learned how to shoot. I'm a model. So I just turn the camera. They're all portrait modes or selfie modes, or just basically I said, I have a beautiful professional camera. I don't even need to use that now. I have this amazing iPhone. It's about lighting. It's about learning how to shoot your product to really showcase the product. And what's been beautiful is most of the time people tell me like, oh my God, this looks even better in person than it looked in your photos. And I know my photos are good. So that makes me feel so good. Now it's about proper lighting, and one can play, like number one, we're in quarantine. We can all play with our time right now. We can play with our setup. Everyone has these amazing $1,000 phones. We'll do something with it. Let's do more than, learn how to shoot. Self-photography, self-portrait, learn how to shoot yourself, set it up on a tripod, model and learn how to do it. These are all things that I never had a fear of doing, because for me, I would just try. You just have to try. So to answer the question, I know I speak with a lot of the younger models, especially, or even models who spent their whole careers just modeling, but they want to do other things, but they don't know how. And my answer is literally just do it. Just do it. There's a lack of self-confidence that comes with, I think, a lot of the models in our industry, because, we started so young. A lot of models started when they're like 16, 17, and by the time they're like 25, they're really just getting started in life, but they've already been working as models for so long, and they didn't have a college education, or sometimes they go back to get education, which is fantastic. It's not about the degree, it's not about the paper, but it's more about learning, constant drive. I'm like at 4 or 5 a.m. I'm researching quantum physics and astrophysics, and I'm fascinated by it because I was learning medicine and not quantum physics back in the day. I'm always learning and absorbing. The only thing stopping us is ourselves. I mean, literally, you're the only person responsible for your own actions. Everyone, it's easy for us to play the blame game, like to be in the victim position. This happened, I couldn't do this because of this. Well, my agency did this, and no, what did you do? What was the stand? You have a stance you can take. I always say there's a stand of the victim and the stance of the empowered, because things are happening. What was your response? That's the one thing we actually have control over. So when people start listing a whole list of like, well, these were the reasons why I didn't do that. They're valid reasons. I'm not actually denying that they're valid or not, but that's not what I'm focused on, because then that gives the power away to you. Actually gave your power to someone else, saying that's the reason why I didn't do it. Well, that thing has your power now, by the way. But if you actually rephrase it and say, I didn't do this because I felt whatever, this was my choice of not doing that. You just took your power back. You take your power back and you go, well, then what do you actually want to do? So a lot of life coaching work, people come to me, go like, well, I'm so lost. I hate my job. Yeah, valid, all valid. Let's try something different here. Yeah. What do you wish you were doing? What brings you joy? What brings a smile to your face? When you think about what you could be doing right now, well, I really want to just like be an artist and create. What's stopping you? Grab a paintbrush, just do it. And then see, and well, I don't know how that's going to be a career. Why are you even thinking about it as a career right now? Just one step at a time.
Yeah.
And watch it unfold.
I love that you have such a curiosity and love education. I fully support that. And being that you're a model as well as a designer, do you have some quick tips from both sides of the work, from like advice for models on shoots, you know, from a designer perspective, what are they looking for? And the flip side, you know, as a model, what should designers be thinking about when they're working with models?
Oh, that's great. Okay, so that's great because I have shot other models as a designer before. Okay, so as a model, because that's been most of my career, I've gotten amazing feedback from designers and clients because they say, wow, you just know what you're doing. You know how to showcase this stuff. And what's interesting is when I model, I'm creating an image. I trust the team to capture the image. But in my head, because I'm also a photographer, I'm here to tell a story. For me as an actor, it's all about storytelling. So I'm telling a story with my pose. I'm telling a story with the clothes. If it's an editorial, we really get to tell a story. But if it's like a you know, catalog shoot, when you just have a white wall, you're here to tell a story about the product. Make it about the product. It's not about you, right? But you're the vehicle of it. So you can take pride in that. You're in the vehicle. It's not about you. It's about you, what you're wearing. So make their job easier. Make the client's job easier. Make the photographer's job easier by doing your job, which is, I'm here, you hired me to showcase this. Mm-hmm. That's my job. And I'm gonna do it to the best of my ability. Are you happy with that? Great, next shot. Are you happy? I'm here to make them happy, but it's not like I'm not sucking up to them or anything like that. But if I do my job, that means we got the job done. That means the client's happy. So it's not about, I think we get into our own heads, oh, you know, judgment, or was I good enough? Did I look good? Did I whatever? No. If you didn't, they would have fixed it. Just trust that you're fine.
Mm-hmm. I love that you
did. That's a whole other team that takes care of this.
Mm-hmm. And you're really encouraging.
Sorry, you got cut off. Can you repeat that?
No, I was just saying that I just love that you're encouraging the models to build that relationship with the designers so that the designers are getting what they need from the photo shoot, because that's definitely something that I've seen with designers. Sometimes they don't know what they actually want, you know, or,
yes.
You know, sometimes it's like the shoot is over and you realize that you didn't get everything you needed. So I think that collaboration is super important.
The collaboration is so important, but it's so important, I think, while you're doing it, and really in life, I think this applies to life itself. It's not personal.
Okay, I love that. Yeah.
It's not about you, right? Not about me. They didn't hire me because they didn't hire me because they love all the work that I do. I mean, possibly if that's what they're focusing on, but they hired me in the casting because they think I could make the clothes work to tell the story. Right. So that's my job in that moment, right? It's not about me. Like, I could have the worst day and I show up, but it's all about being professional. This is a business. This is a job. It's not about, I gained 2 pounds last night because I just went too crazy on that pie. You know, and then I feel bad where I have a pimple in my face. Oh no, I think everybody's looking at me. That's a whole separate realm, right? And that's self-confidence really needs to come from a deeper place, because we all come from a place where we think there's external judgment, but we're the only ones really judging, to be honest, because we're letting that judgment affect us in a certain way. Because people go, oh, you have a pimple in your face. I just kind of laugh about it. I don't see it as about, like, yeah, I'm human. Yeah, I don't know. It's of course, right? Beauty shoot today just popped up. I'm not ashamed of it. Why am I ashamed of it? I had no control over it. It wasn't a choice. Just like it wasn't a choice that I'm not 6'1", you know? It's like, whatever it is, you have to realize, what are you in control of? What are you responsible for? And that, I think, if you put your energy and focusing on that, that's more empowering. It's like taking the power back. Now, with the designer, as a designer, I think I kind of spoke in the same realm. I've worked with amazing models who shop for, I mean, oh, I'm so blessed to have like amazing, because I'm sitting there going, oh, this is what it's like to be the designer, going, yes, that's amazing, thank you, right? Because they're telling my story, they're working their magic to bring my products to life. And I'm so grateful for that. And there's no judgment or whatever. It all comes from collaboration. And I'll fix things and they're not feeling crappy because I just fixed it. I mean, they know it's about the product. You know, it's got nothing to do with me and you. It's not about ego. I mean, for me, at least, I can't speak for all the clients, but, you know, when I am the client, I'm here to say, thank you for your time. Thank you for telling my story. And this is what I think we can do to kind of work together to tell the story for this product.
That's cool. Well, we've got our mastermind fashion and business lawyer is Shirin, and I want to bring her on for a minute because I think it's super important that, I mean, since you've been through so many different types of careers, you know, it's really important for people who are starting a business to understand how to prepare it correctly. So I want Shirin to give you, ask you some questions about that.
Sure.
Hi, Angel. Thank you again for sharing your beautiful story with us and your ever-evolving journey. I think there's so much to be learned from all the different things that you've been working on in your career, in your life. I had a question with respect to, you know, of course, you are an amazing creative and you're talented, but you also have that business savvy where, you know, do you have advice for other creatives who may not have had that business savvy or the education that you had, and helping them sort of explain how you set up your foundation in terms of your business structure, and also, you know, sources of funding, especially with most creatives that are, you know, budget conscious with respect to their business and how they're, you know, going to create their brand. You know, any advice that you have for us?
Thank you. So I'm going to start with that last one first and work my way back. Especially creatives who are budget conscious. That's me. That's why I got my hands involved in everything. I didn't have a budget to hire a photographer, so I learned how to shoot. I didn't have a budget to hire a makeup artist to do so I learned how to do your own makeup. I didn't have a photographer. I didn't have a budget to hire a PR team to do marketing. So you go on Facebook and Instagram, what's that called? The advertisements, right? That's the budget. That's it right there. So you have to, because there's no budget, it forced me to think outside the box, to not rely on other things, to not go, well, you know what, I'll just hire a marketing team. I'll just hire this, I'll do that. They'll do that. The stores will take care of that. No, it's actually up to you. So what I think was a blessing was that because I didn't have a budget, because this whole thing is self-funded, I didn't set aside a budget. I didn't really say, well, this is all I'm going to ever spend on it. It was like an evolving thing because the company was growing. So what I did was you really look at what are the needs. I love, I had this silver wall instead of like a white wall. I have a silver wall. And I kind of do a chart. I do a map of what encompasses a company. What do I need to do? Illumin Design's in the middle. Well, website, that's something I need to do. For me, it's very visual as an artist. So marketing, this is what I do. And ideas of all the marketing. Who do I need to speak with? Is it about finding celebrities and influencers? Or I have my own platform as a public figure. I could tap into that. You know, what is the next plan up? Where do I sell this? Okay, I got to do a Facebook shop. Am I doing Instagram shop? Am I doing it? You have this visual. And then I start numbering, okay, what's the priority? What is my number one goal right now? Is it to make sales or is it to get the word out? Because they don't necessarily mean the same thing, right? Making sales and actually branding and that's not the same thing. Building a brand is a long-term strategy. Selling is a short-term goal. that's constantly evolving, I'm sure. But as branding something, branding a company, you have to have a vision, a clear brand of what your brand is about. So that was very clear to me in the beginning. But you know, of course, it evolved a little bit. But for me, it was like, okay, it's artisan, it's one of a kind, and they're talisman, you know, they're all sculpted with intention. There's all this. I was like, these are the key points that led me to create them in the first place. I want to make sure everything I do evolves around those messages, right? So so now, because I have this branding of what it's about, then my marketing funnel like supports that. My website supports that. Everything circles around this image of what it is. And because mine is artisan, but mine's quite luxury artisan, it can't be a shoddy photo of an image that's bad lighting. It needs to look polished and chic. Right. But the product for itself, it speaks for itself. They're all one of a kind. So the branding is very specific. Now, in marketing and business, whatever, but that's not where I learned everything. I learned from doing. I learned from internships. I learned from my mother, who at age 9, I was side by side with her as she started her own travel agency. She took me by the hand. I was the only one that spoke English. So we went to all these places to build relationships. As she spoke in Chinese, I translated into English. At age 9, she trained me, built me on how to build a company from scratch. So I watched as we just kind of like, you know, just all day, 10 hours a day, try to go to different hotels because we were a travel agency. So we're building all these relationships with different hotels, thanking them for perhaps they can, you know, use our card. It was this interpersonal relationship that I learned from her and how to do business with integrity that led our company to be open, I believe, another 15, 20 years before. It was one of the biggest successful companies before we sold it. But that watching her was my biggest lesson. So I would always say to people, it's not about your degree. Artists, creators, people who want to open a business, I say, learn. You learn by doing it. And I'm still learning. I'm still watching things unfold and I'm adapting. But I would say, get an internship or learn from, and when I say internship, I don't necessarily mean a big corporation and you're just filing the paperwork. There's validity in that too, to some degree. But maybe if you're a jewelry designer, maybe go to you know, find another maker. It doesn't even have to be a jewelry designer. Find another maker. Maybe it's a furniture designer. Watch how they're doing it. Help them run their business. You will learn the ins and outs very, very quickly. You can't prepare for this. School does not prepare you for this. There's no way school prepares you for this. You prepare by doing it, by watching it. So I highly recommend to everybody who's starting out, do your research. And when I say do your research, yes, reading and researching, but also research from other people who are successful. And I don't mean financially. They don't have to be big brands. Successful in a sense, like you admire this company's ethics and work and how they portray themselves. Find out how you can be involved, how you can help. You'll learn from them. And I'm not saying copying them, but I'm saying you'll learn that you would never have seen on the front end.
That's really wonderful advice. Yeah, because I think that's something that we all need to do is we need to find those mentors. Someone like you is obviously someone that really cares about helping others. And there's always people in the industry that, you know, don't want to share or are not generous. But that's what the women on this mastermind group, that's why we're all together, because we're all very generous with helping each other. And, you know, you're clearly of that same tribe. I know you've got a busy day with more interviews coming up. And so I want to let Kat talk to you real quick before we wrap up. Kat is actually working with the New York Face Mask Initiative. So you guys have a lot in common. So Kat, do you want to ask some questions? Where did Kat go? Unmute her, sorry. Hey, Kat.
Again,
Okay, there you are. Well, it keeps getting unmuted.
I've really enjoyed it, this whole session. One of my obstacles is dealing with customers and clients and what they want, and trying to deal with them as their needs and their desires. When you approach a customer with a jewelry design or anything, how much does your medical background in a way and your philanthropic approach kind of inform how you find out what their needs are, what the design of the jewelry is that you want to portray for them? What kind of assessment do you need to do about that? Because I think ultimately customer service is really about understanding people's needs and servicing them, and not doing a cookie cutter thing.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Yes, I love interpersonal relationships, and I love creating for someone, which means before I get into a commission piece, first I want to acknowledge that my work, I believe, is pre-filters my customers. The one who loves Tiffany and wears only Tiffany probably isn't the customer that's buying my piece. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have the customers that love like a certain brand and aesthetic of like this cookie cutter look. They're probably not going to go for something that's so artsy and one of a kind, right? So, and the one that loves diamonds, they're probably not going to go for a brand that's working with raw crystals the size of my whole wrist, right? So I think my brand, the aesthetic, pre-filters customers. So that's something I've noticed.
There's a lot of healing in crystals too.
It's a lot, yes. So I was just about to go into that.
Yep.
I've been so grateful and blessed to be connected with healers around the world, light workers. And I call them light workers because they might not even know they're healers. They're not in the healing industry. They're not Reiki healer or whatever it is. But once I start talking to them, I have essentially like a whole session, an energy session when I talk to them. Because we start revealing the work that they're doing in their life, how they're giving back. It's a whole relationship. And they start to realize my back, and it becomes like a therapy session. Because I start to realize, well, I'm getting this from you. I'm feeling, and for me, I really trust my intuition when it comes to that, because that's why I got into this in the first place. Because I'd study them. So I'd be like, let me show you something. Does this resonate with you? I'm letting you choose, because it's not about me. Once again, it's about you. I would show them different stones, and then you always, they would just go, that they would just straight up pick a very specific item. Or there'd be customers that walk away and they'll come back. And I'm like, walk away, come back. Because that's how I shop. I walk away. You can't stop thinking about it, and they come back. So they'll come back, and they're like, I don't know why I don't even like this. I normally don't like this stone, but I can't stop looking at it. And this is my favorite part. Then I pull up this encyclopedia of the properties, metaphysical properties, and the energy healing work of that stone. Then I show it to them. I go, take your time. And 99% of people come back either in shock, tears. It's either shock or tears. It's one or the other. The other, like the 1% are like, oh my gosh, I didn't see that coming. Yeah. But the other percent are like, what? You have no idea that that's exactly what I need right now. That's what I'm going through in my life. I'm like, I didn't, but you did. You did. So I think we're drawn to things for different reasons. Whether it's energy healing or whatever, everything. I mean, quantum physics, everything is energy. Einstein talked about this. Literally, everything is energy. So it doesn't even matter if you believe in energy. It's that you're only particles of energy vibrating at different, at different vibrations. That's all we are. So what makes you think that? So even if you don't believe in the energies of crystals, that's okay. Color therapy is a thing, isn't it? When you look at blue, it's calming, isn't it? When you look at red, it's not calming, is it? It's passion, it's fire. When you look at black, it is not uplifting, is it? Color energy is real. Yeah. Color therapy is real. Properties, crystals, billions of years it took, millions to billions and so much energy is trapped into this, and you have no idea what it is. but sometimes you can feel it. I found myself just holding certain stones before. This is years ago. Before, my whole life, I would hold them, not understanding what it was, but I would be attracted to different stones, and I just like, I need to hold this. And I was that kid with like pockets of crystals and like rocks. So when I work with my customers, absolutely, it's healing. It's my work as my passion in the medical fields, my humanitarian work. To me, my studies in psychology, I love combining all of that. I'm not saying that that's where I draw from, but that's how my mind works. I think around, it's a life, it's a package deal. You can't isolate it. And I think one of the things that we are really lacking in medicine is in Western medicine. Like Eastern medicine is quite different. Western medicine, which is what I studied, is very linear. It's all physical. And then psychology is psychology, but psychology doesn't necessarily deal with the physical realm of medicine, right? So, and then there's like healing. There's like a whole energetic healing. And now there's merges. There are merges of the healing and the psychology world. There's merges psychology and medical, like physical medicine. But all three, like the holistic healing, there's a lot of stigma attached to that still. And so I think I leave it to the customers. I trust that when they come to me, they're drawn to this for some reason. And we just we just have a conversation. It's like a session. It's a full-on session. They go on for hours worldwide, by the way. It's
relationship. That's it.
I'm all about that. I love it so much. I love that. And thank you for doing what you're doing with the face mask.
Wonderful. Everybody follow Angel on Instagram. It's Angel C. Pie. Check out her website. You can just Google her. She comes right up, and she's got amazing information on her website about everything that she's involved in. Please follow her on Instagram. Check out the website, and we will have this interview up on YouTube, and it's also on Facebook. So thank you for everybody. Thank you everybody for attending. Thank you for joining us today, and we wish you the best of luck, Angel.